That's not. Hey, everybody. Cheryl Lawson here, live from the studio, looking at the camera. Y'all know that my struggle is real with the looking at the camera piece. So, I have been working on the blog here lately and just trying to share my thoughts. The stuff that's going around in my head is not always easy to get out, but I'm doing my best to uh, get that. But I wanted to just talk a little bit about what we do and kind of projects that we're working on for 2022 and let you know how you can work with us. So, Social Media Tulsa specializes in social media for events, but that's not all we do. In fact, we've got a project upcoming where we're creating social videos for a campaign in June for a local company. And I'm excited about that. So we're going to start shooting that in probably the end of April, early May, once green country looks a little bit more green. Excuse my dog snoring and grumping. I think I'm making too much noise for him. It's nap time. But the other thing we have coming up is we'll be doing social media for the July 4th celebration here in Tulsa, Freedom Festival. This will be our second year doing that particular event. We did July 4th in Broken Arrow one year. It's always a great time. It's always hot, typically. So I've got some pretty hopefully cool t-shirts ordered so that our team looks professional and can also be comfortable. So there's that. But one of the things that I like to do, and you can watch on our blog, we had a really nice discussion of with the team members who usually work on our events and then people who work other events outside of Social Media Tulsa, and just getting their points on how they manage social media for events and some of the things that we find important. One thing is, you absolutely need a social media team for your event. It is, I don't care how good you are at social media, you need a social media team for your event. It's virtually impossible to do all the things. So, planning your event, managing the talent, entertainers, all the logistics that go into managing your event, it's virtually impossible to do that and do social media really well. Because the goal of social media for your event is either one, get people off the couch and from in front of their computer and to the event if your event is open to the public, or to set up the next event, right? To build a bridge to the next event, to create so much FOMO and interest in your event that people are ready to sign up for the next one as soon as this one is over, or even better still, before it's over. So having a social media presence for your event helps you tell the story of the event. It also helps your sponsors get the exposure that they hopefully paid for and feel like they get a good representation of what the event stands for. So one of the things that we like to do is when we're talking with event coordinators or event teams, that we like to get what are the objectives? Like, what is it that you want the event to portray? And beyond selling more tickets, getting more people, is what is it that you want the event to say to people? And most of the times it's something that isn't normally thought of. Like, people want their events to share a feeling and emotion of inclusion. Sometimes it's a cultural festival, and they really want to get out to share the cultural love with a broader community. So let me get over here. Oh, there we go. Got chats going on. And many times they want to share the culture with the broader community. I know that's the case when we work with Oktoberfest. And even when we worked for Scott Fest and those kind of things, we definitely are wanting to share the culture with the community. The other thing is, sponsors, how are they highlighted? Vendors, food, drinks, family. Is it family friendly? Is it, adults only? Is it a um, mixed group, so that you want to make sure that you're appealing to parents with kids and say, hey, these are the things that you can do here. Our approach is always to make people feel included and see themselves at your event. So we want to make sure that we share um, images, stories, texts, gifts, whatever it is to make people think I could fit into that location. And myself, my family, we would all, thank you for the like, and we would all want to be there. So that's certainly what we attempt to do when we're doing events for social media for events. The other thing that we want to do is make sure that we are capturing all of those things, but also we're listening to people's comments, questions, and requests on social. So posting on social is one thing, and where it's your storytellers for sure. But the other side of it is, when an event is happening, and maybe you don't know, but you should. People are always sending messages on Facebook, Instagram, even on Twitter, asking questions. And it's typically the same questions that you've answered a million times or that can be found on your website. But our job during the event is to answer those questions over and over again for you, to make sure that your event is going well and that people understand how to access your event, where to go if they're having issues, especially if it's a virtual event. If they're having problems logging in, we're there to help people access the event without having to create too much trouble for the organizers. That's our job, is to answer those questions. The other thing that we do when we see questions coming in, or we see people commenting about the event, we're social listeners as well as we are social content creators, is that we are listening to um, people's requests. So let's say we have people, and this has happened, people are waiting for a shuttle bus and the bus either doesn't seem to be coming, or it's full, and they're not letting everybody on, or there's an issue with something outside of the event or outside of the grounds, but it's still part of the event. We can then, as we're connected to the event organizers, get them the information. Hey, shuttle bus location number 3 has some issues, or has people waiting, or there hasn't been a bus there in 30 minutes or something like that. So we can then communicate what is happening and what people are saying, so that the event organizers can then fix it. That has happened many a times as we work social media for events. So I absolutely encourage you to make your social media team a part of your event management team, so they have access to the people, and then give them access to your customers, so that they can then answer those questions and solve those issues either right on the platform or in the private messaging, or however the customers have done. We've done that many a times, and it really solves a lot of problems and solves a lot of headaches. One year, one of our clients, the first day of the event, the website completely crashed. And guess what? The only way to buy tickets to the event was through the website. So I came up with you guys have been overwhelming, and you crashed our website, and thank you so much. Right? So changing the narrative to we didn't have enough bandwidth, to this event has become so popular that you guys crashed our site. Now, I noticed that the following year that we didn't work the event, the same thing happened again, and they tried that same you guys have overwhelmed us, and it doesn't work the second time, because you should have been prepared. So make sure that when you're giving people those messages, that it's not just a repeat of what you've done before, or you can come up with something else to try to answer the question. So that we just made the solution that you can come down, you can buy your ticket on site, and we'll honor the online price, right? And we've done that a couple times with events where the website or the ticketing issue site had an issue, and we were able to overcome that just by messaging on social media. One of the fun things that we like to do, of course, is share images, especially if it's a cultural festival, about the food, the music, the personalities, um, the attire. Is there something unique to that culture that is something that everybody can get involved in, and how to be respectful in doing that, and what is proper ways to appreciate the culture without it coming across as offensive or appropriating. So that's one of our jobs as creators and social media teams, is to make sure that we understand from the planners and the organizer standpoint, and then we communicate it to the participants. Other things that we do is we set up where we're thanking sponsors. We make sure we tag them, we thank them, we get pictures of them in doing and activating their sponsorship. So that's another thing that you can include in your sponsorship, is that they will get social media attention. Um, my dog is like so bored of me talking. I just finished my class. He's just like, oh, shut up, I'm trying to nap. But anyway, so we highlight your sponsors. We make sure that they are getting the exposure that they paid for, and sometimes paid dearly for. We'll interview your sponsors or your vendors. We'll create stories, Instagram stories that highlight them, and then create Instagram highlights so you can go back and watch the things that were happening that you weren't able to watch in real time, because we can't see it all in real time. We also give you a report at the end of your event that tells you, here's what we did, here's the impact that it had, here's all the engagement, here's how we accomplished, or here's what we did to reach your goal or your target, or the things that you said were important to you. And not everything is a conversion, right? Some of the goals are, we want to make sure that our event is inclusive. We want to make sure that the event highlights family friendliness. We want to make sure that people know where to park and how to get to the event. So some of it it's not always about we need to sell more tickets, because some of the events that we do are free events, like the 4th of July event. So we want to make sure that whatever the objectives we set in the beginning, we can show how we were able to accomplish those things in either our end of the event recap reports. We use a lot of statistics and analytics from all of the platforms to show some of our popular posts. Not only does that help the event organizer to see what was done and how we did our job, but it also helps them as they go to seek more sponsorship. They can say, look, we did all this, we have all this exposure, these are the people who are engaged, this is how many people used our hashtag. And then we did this for Oktoberfest, is we highlighted one of their sponsors and showed all of the posts that we made about them or mentioning them, so that they can then go back to that sponsor and say, hey, here's how we talked about you and utilized your participation and your execution in our social accounts. And I think that really helps as you're going back to your sponsors and saying, this is the recap for your participation and how we did on social media. And it always goes over well when the sponsor can see how you tag them, use imagery, especially if they're paying for signage and volunteers, and you can incorporate that into the overall event's social media. So one of our most fun things to do and preparing for, especially if you have an event that you need to prepare for, is starting to highlight things about the event that, let's say, maybe you get the most questions about, that people are confused about, or that don't get enough exposure because there's so many other things going on. So we try to get that list of things ahead of time. We create lists for your photographers. If you don't have photographers already, we can bring in our own. And so we have Two things that we look at from a photography and video photography standpoint. One is real time, right? Things that we're sharing in real time um, during the event. As the event happens, we're sharing, we're creating captions, we're trying to get people either engaged and to the event, or at least engaged enough that they're wanting to know more about when they can sign up for the next one. Then there is the long term or the evergreen post, the photography, the video photography that you'll use then to promote the next event. Right? A lot of events tend to only focus on the real time, or they'll only focus on the photography, but then not use it for anything else. So we have photographers that are taking photos for us to use in social, but to be honest, our phones can take some really good photos for real time stories, reels, posts of the things that are happening in real time for your event. Then the professional photographers and video photographers can then take those grand shots for I like to use Facebook cover images and change those out throughout the event for your website. Hero photos, those are the things that your photographer photos are going to be used for, to create albums kind of at the end of the event. So you can say, hey, thanks to everybody for coming out. You can do a sponsor photo gallery with those professional photos at the end of the event. You can create video shorts for stories, TikToks, those kind of things in real time. And then you can prepare those things to share throughout the year. Think about when you want to post throughout the year. Is it Valentine's Day? Is it Veterans Day, Memorial Day, the holidays? Think about when you are at the event. We always try to get images and videos that the organizers can use throughout the year as they post. Sometimes we will handle those for our clients. Other times we just hand off all of that content and the clients can post on their own. Up until this past year, so for the marathon, we worked all year. This was our last year working full the full year for the marathon, but it's my own fault because I really recommend that you have a consistent year-round plan to post, and not just posting during the event and stop. I understand not everybody can afford to either hire somebody to do that or have the bandwidth to do that themselves. So having those little highlights throughout the year that you're going to want to say something about, whether it's a holiday or Veterans Day or something that ties in with your brand, make sure that you get those photos and videos and images at the event so that it's easier for you to then go through those images and say, okay, this is a flag. We're going to post this for July 4th, or we're going to post this for Veterans Day. Yeah, we're going to post this will be our holiday post, right? This will be our summer, spring, fall post. Yeah. So that's just a little short of what we do when we're out covering events. You can go to a couple of our client event pages and look at the work that we do. You'll see our work on Tulsa Oktoberfest. You can look at the live event coverage from Route 66 Marathon. And up until I think March 1st is when we were posting for the marathon, and we did that for 10 years. So you can go and look at 10 years past to see our work. You can look at River Parks accounts for the 4th of July from last year. We did all of those posts. They don't have their separate accounts for that event, but we did a River West Festival Park and River Parks for 4th of July. So you can kind of look at how we engage with people, or you can look at the story highlights for each of those accounts and see what we do for there. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me personally. Add a comment below. What do you think is most important for social media for events? And do you hire or have your own team? All right, thanks. You let me know. We'll see you next time.